Man, I tell you what, I don't know what happened here. It's lucky I'm not a mint in box collector, because this box is looking rough. I wonder what happened to it. The box is rough, but hopefully the figure inside has come through unscathed.
Welcome back.
Holy Hasselhoff, he was incredibly difficult to get out of that packaging. Like, there just wasn't enough room.
I was about to ask if you had any approach to this predicament.
Yeah. Talk to me about turning it into a pile of toothpicks, will ya?
Like, it was so tight that I didn't think I was ever going to get out of it. Let's start this one in vehicle mode, because that's obviously at this point in time what he's been known for up until now, and it's also the way it came packaged, so there's a matter of convenience to it as well. And first impressions, he's big. He's way bigger than you sort of expect him to be based on how Transformers has kind of existed for the last 10-15 years. This has some like old school collector feel to it. Not just because of the size, but then also because of the fact that he includes some electronics as well. But just to give you an impression of exactly how big this car is, let's get him in with another Transformers X vehicle, Gigawatt. That is a huge difference, and I appreciate that these, as projects, all exist independently from one another. It would have lent itself to the play pattern a little bit more if he'd scaled closer to this, because Gigawatt himself was at quite a good scale for, you know, Ectotron, whatever the flip his name was, Ghostbot, and it would have been nice to keep that rolling. The vehicle mode looks good. They've kind of picked out as much as they can for what is a famously black car. Good little tempo there. Pretty reasonable one back there. Knight. There is something about him that feels a little, I don't know, thin in places maybe? We'll see how we go. Also, he's got great clearance and rolls really well.
Meep, meep. Meep, meep.
Hi. Hey, look, Homer's got one of those robot cars.
One of those American robot cars.
And all that while neatly storing his weapons underneath, along with his hands and face. Don't look at me, Michael. So to get the lights and sounds feature happening, you're going to need a couple of things. You're going to need 3 of these little batteries and a tiny screwdriver.
Groovy.
He can talk. 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 He can talk.
Hold on. This could be a bit bumpy.
Transformation is an interesting one because he's like kind of just like a blown up Datsun, but transforms a little bit like Siege Sideswipe. You'll see what I mean. Up and out. Doors out. Fold out. Open his shins. Unfold the whole shooting match. Fold down those feet. Unfold the toes. Close the shins, separate the legs. Twist the waist, now we're back up top. Piece of the grill, we're gonna fold down, so we can pivot this section back, and then this will tab in on the underside of that. It's not a great lineup, so it helps if you push down on it as you do it. Unfold and twist the head, hinge it back and tab it in. You know you've gotten it right and even when you're able to slot in this ab section. It's kind of like threading a little needle. There we go. And take this whole section, fold it down, and then it kind of just sits there around the wings.
Are you all right?
No.
Alright, so there's a lot to like here, and there's also some pretty overt weaknesses. The first thing that I love is the fact that he looks like he's wearing a pair of Hasselhoff style Levi's in his robot mode. Normally those are the kind of like armor and molding as clothing thing that I don't like about these kind of crossovers, especially the Star Wars ones. Remember those? God. But you know, this is camp enough as a release to make it work for me. But there's something almost vintage at this point, this robot mode, with how hollow it is through there, the way the shoulders mount and sit in proportion to the head. Hood of car as pecs is about as classically Transformers iconography as you really get. There is just something about him that screams like alternators. He feels like his design philosophy and his kind of transformation technology is very, very alternators.
Sorry, Michael.
So his head is on a really good ball joint. I especially like the way it sits inside the collar. The visor, with how dark his eyes are, sometimes looks cool, but sometimes looks like he's that mole guy the Fantastic Four are always beefing with.
Yes, it is I, the great mole man.
Arms do go all the way around because of the ball joint, but as you just saw, it's a ball joint that is forever wanting to pop off. It is not a robust ball joint. There is a nasty burr in his rotator cuff. He's got a bicep swivel, but a lot of the time, using it will pull him off that ball joint, just past 90 on that elbow, and ball jointed wrists, which you love, because it gives you all the rotation you need and a little bit of in. More dynamic punches thrown with a ball jointed wrist. Waist swivel just above those 501s.
I'd much rather be forever in blue jeans.
At this size, and given the nature of this kind of piece here, it would have been great if there was a pin through there. You got an ab rock out of him. For some reason, this skirt piece is only very loosely tabbed in, even though you don't actually need to move it to use his universal hips. Big back flex on that one. Thigh swivel, where it sits inside the armor, which is a quality I love. Those knees go probably just past 90, I suppose. Then he's got pretty good ankle tilt. And a little bit of toe down and a tiny bit of toe up. But the whole foot will come down. So whilst he does come with all the articulation points you'd expect, from the waist up in particular, they're mounted funny. It's generous but awkward articulation above those denims. You can still get some incredible shapes out of him, and he'll throw all the big 80s action hero poses you want him to. But at this scale and this price point, a couple of things like, you know, more engineered shoulder joints and maybe a ab rocker wouldn't have hurt. It wouldn't have gone astray.
Get going to surveillance mode, huh?
Michael,
Yeah, Kit.
could your 1956 Chevrolet go into surveillance mode?
No, but we sure had some fun cruising hamburger joints.
So the electronic features still work in this mode, but what's odd is he still says all the same stuff he did as a car. So quite a lot of them don't make as much sense. And also, given that this guy's name is Agent Knight and not just KITT, does that mean he's a transformer who has the onboard AI of KITT?
I am the voice of Knight Industry 2000's microprocessor, KITT for easy reference. KITT if you prefer.
Bit like Cortana? Or is no one meant to think about it that deeply?
Thank you, sir.
On top of his electronic features, he does also come with a few accessories. We get pretty big gun, we get littler gun.
Knight Rider, a shadowy flight into the dangerous world of a man who does not exist.
I gotta say, the dual wield is giving him a little bit more legitimacy than I feel like he had a second ago when he was just a robot in jean shorts.
See, your shorts, they're holding you back, man. Well, that and your hips. But I gotta tell you, the shorts aren't helping.
When he's not dual wielding, the weapons can store neatly behind his doors. The big one will tab on the inside there, while the smaller one has a tab that'll go into this port. Bobby Newport. And then lastly, much like Michael had in the show, he comes with a wrist communicator. That'll just plug right on in there. So now he can call himself.
Get in here fast!
Let's get a couple of other 80s X comparisons in there, and let's start with Ecto-1, who, in robot mode, they scale surprisingly well, but it's pretty clear, even from their robot kibble, that the vehicles don't scale. Let's call it mass displacement and be done with it, shall we? And let's also peep him alongside Gigawatt, who does not scale quite as well. But Transformers has never really been super one for scale. Again, right? Mass displacement. Done. Makes sense. He's just a little dude. That is a lot of 80s icon right there. What's not to love about that? Even when they're not perfect, the cheerleader effect, I'm just so glad that this is a subline of Transformers that's actually happening. The pop culture cons. There is a lot to like about seeing this group here together, whether you're like straight up Transformers fan, movies fan, 80s nostalgia fan, there's something here for you. This is one of those projects that I think gets people who aren't normally into Transformers into Transformers. Like someone who might not dig the toy line, but is a big 80s movie fan, sees these and is like, you know what? That is enough of a meta 80s mashup that I'm just gonna hook up this one. And I think that's a really cool thing. It's a gateway toy. So what are we thinking? Have you got him? Are you gonna get him? What's the plan? How are we feeling about this? I wanna know. Hit me up in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. If you had a good time, like and subscribe. That's a thing. That helps. If you already have, way to go, you little legend. And until the next one, let's get nerdy with it. Catch!